Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So we got a lot of content to go through today. So one of the things that I've been talking about for a while is my cousin Thomas Jefferson. He was a Randolph, and I come from the Randolph family, and I'm telling you, I'm very intertwined with this time period in Astral. And I've had a lot of insights into this family. And as I've said before, I'm pretty certain that a character that I had during this time was Mary Randolph. And she wrote the first American cookbook. And I'm pretty sure that was me. I'm pretty certain it was me. So I want to read, I've been reading a lot of Thomas Jefferson's letters for a long time. And one of the things that I've talked about repeatedly is that Meriwether Lewis was murdered. Now the Lewis family, Meriwether, they were our family. And Thomas Jefferson was a very inquisitive person. He was a voracious reader. He was an endless communicator. I mean, there's so many letters. He was an Aries. So he was like my mom. He could be a good communicator. He just wasn't a good grounder. You know, he was all air. So anyway, I was reading about Thomas Jefferson and this whole slavery scenario because I know that that's not accurate. I know it's not accurate. I had many interracial marriages in my family, so race was not an issue. So what I want to read is this letter that was written to Thomas Jefferson before July 3rd, 1788, from John Ledyard. Okay? So, this is interesting because it talks about the Tartars. And it's going to segue, these letters are going to segue into, what I'm talking about that has to do with Meriwether Lewis. Because Thomas Jefferson knew a lot more than what the public knows about. He knew that there were people here from the old world. He knew that there were Jews. He knew that there were Welsh and other mixed race Native Americans that were here. Okay. Now, when Meriwether Lewis was coming back, him and Thomas Jefferson were in constant exchange of letters. But there was a time period where no letters were exchanged because Meriwether was he was kind of out of the loop. He wasn't anywhere where he could receive mail. But I know that he wasn't planning on offing himself and not coming back. And the reason that I say that is because he had instruments that belonged to Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson had sent him his watch that he needed repaired. And so that was one thing. And he sent him a sextant and a few other tools that he could use for navigation purposes. Thomas wanted his watch back. He wanted his watch back. And Meriwether was going to return it to him. So if you've got plans and arrangements made with somebody for an arrival and a return, and you're bringing things back, and you're bringing company back, and you're having these meet and greets, because there were 4 or 6 Native American tribes that were traveling back with Meriwether to Virginia to have an audience with Jefferson and the Randolph family. Because everybody that was in government at that time were Randolphs. They were all Randolph family members. The first president of the Continental Congress before we became in United States was Peyton Randolph, guys. There were 10 or 11 other presidents before we had George Washington. And they were all Wolf, Lupine bloodlines, guys. They were the wolves. They were the wolves. So I'm going to read you this letter, because if you think Tartaria is not real, then you better wake up. These people were all here. Meriwether didn't kill himself. It was the beginning of the reset. It was the beginning of the end for my family in government. And here we go. From John Ledyard. Sir, when men of genius want matter of fact to reason from it is bad, though it is worse to reason without it. It is the fate of genius not to make or to misapply this reflection, and so it forms theories. Humble minds admire these theories because they cannot comprehend them, and disbelieve them for the same reason. Simplify the efforts and the attainments of all the ancient worlds in science, and it amounts to nothing but theory, to a riddle. The sublime of an ancient wisdom was to form a riddle, and the Delphic god bore the palm. Men had then great encouragement to do so. They were made priests, prophets, kings, and gods. And when they had gained these distinctions by riddles, it was necessary by riddles to preserve them. Men have since, though but very lately, and not yet universally, sought impartiality for truth. And we nowadays seek truth not only for its own enchanting beauty, but from a principle, though not more valuable, yet more generous, viz., the pleasure of communicating it to one another. The soothsayers, magicians, prophets, and priests of old would think us as arrant fools, as we think them knaves. In my travels, I have made it my rule to compare the written with the living history of man. And as I have seen all kinds of men, so I have not hesitated to make use of all kinds of history that I am acquainted with in the comparison. And I give in many cases as much credit to traditions as to other history, implicit credit to none, nor implicit credit to interferences that I myself draw from this comparison except rarely, and then I am as sure as I want to be. Thus I know and feel myself above prejudices. Moses, Albergassi, and the writers of the last 20 years are all alike to me as to what I am seeking for. For I would only understand if I could what man has been from what he is, not what he may have been hereafter, though who all mention the tale. I would also know what the earth has been from observing how it is at present, not how it may be hereafter, be though all mention also this tale. You know how ignorant and plain a man I am, but I declare to you that in this temper of mind, and from the information incident to the extent and nature of all my travels, I find myself at ease concerning things which some cannot, and others will not believe, that are of considerable importance. And I will tell you in very few words that some of them are. I wish I had time to mention them all, or if I do, that it was more in detail. Sir, I am certain, and in parentheses, and I'm just reading this, guys, so don't get butthurt, okay? Let's not get emotional. I am certain that all the people, I am certain, the Negroes accepted, because I have yet not personally visited them, that the difference in the color of men is the effect of natural causes. Sir, I am certain that all the people you call red people on the continent of America and on the continents of Europe and Asia, as far south as the southern parts of China, are all one people by whatever names distinguished, and that the best general one would be Tartar. I suspect that all red people are of the same family. I am satisfied myself that America was peopled from Asia and had some, if not all, its animals from thence. I am satisfied myself that the great general analogy in the customs of men can only be accounted for by supposing them all to compose one family. And by extending the idea and uniting customs, tradition, and history, I am satisfied that this common origin was such or nearly as related by Moses and commonly believed among all of the nations of earth. Do you hear that, folks? In the long past, everybody knew that we were all a family. We were all Tartars, guys. All of us. This is why the primordial mother, she looks Asian, and she told me that she is the mother of earth and that I come from her. And at first I couldn't figure it out. It has nothing to do with all this. We're all a mixed bag. Guys, we're all a mixed bag. And by extending the idea and uniting customs, traditions, and history, I'm satisfied that this common origin was such or nearly as related by Moses and commonly believed among all the nations of earth. There is a transposition of things on the globe. that must have been produced by some cause equal to the effect, which is vast and curious. Whether I repose on arguments drawn from facts observed by myself, or send imagination forth to cause to find for both, they declare to me a general deluge. I am your excellency's most humble and most grateful friend. So obviously from this note right here, from this letter that was written before 1788, that Thomas Jefferson was quite curious about the Tartars. He was also quite curious about us all being from one family and that we were all scattered all around. So do you think that the expedition that Clark and Lewis and Clark went on was just about finding new territories? It wasn't. It was looking for family, folks. This is why Pocahontas was married into our family. This is why Thomas Jefferson had a relationship and many children with Sally Heming. Because it didn't matter if they were black. We were all family, folks. Do you see? They knew what we didn't. And this is why when the Revolutionary War started out, they were trying to kill Thomas Jefferson. He had to go into hiding. He had to go into hiding. And this was because already at that time, the footwork was being put into place for the long game. It was already put into place. So when we talk about the time before the United States, before the Revolutionary War, when they were resetting, it wasn't my family that was part of the reset. My family was holding the boundary, and they were trying to bring truth into the society. I have more letters to read, but this one is enough for today because it's been 12 minutes, and I really hope that that got your gears turning because there's a lot of letters that we're going to read. There's another one from John Ledyard to Thomas Jefferson, but there's a lot of letters that Thomas Jefferson wrote. He wrote a lot of letters about slavery. He wrote a lot of letters about being pissed off because they wanted to strike it when he put it in the Declaration of Independence, that he wanted to make all men equal. They lined right through that shit. He saved the paper because he wasn't going to have his name go down in history. I just got a thump from Theo. He wasn't going to have his name go down in history as someone who was oppressing humans. He even had his own version of the Bible. It was called the Jefferson Bible. He was turning it into the ABCs of spirituality, guys. That's what he was doing. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here because we're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. So if you haven't visited the National Archives, guys, and started reading these actual letters that were correspondence between the people that were living during the time, then you're missing out on a big scope of information to put forth a hypothesis that things were not like what we've been told. So, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the videos. My channel is pretty much shadow banned. It's not for profit. It's for knowledge. It's not for gatekeeping. It's for waking everybody up, guys. So share the videos, like and subscribe and comment so we can get motion on the videos. People need to realize that it's us together. Regardless of what all this looks like, this is irrelevant. It's what's here, guys. It's the heart space. It's us against the false timeline matrix. There's no left and right. There's no black and white. It's souls. It's souls. You're either on the good side of things or you're not. It's plain and simple. Time to step into your purpose. Time to wake up. Hope to catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.